Well, hello there, fellow travelers. So good to see you again. I know it's been a long time, and welcome back to the LZ. And so much has been happening with No Man's Sky in the year of 2021, and we are all better off for it because 2020 was a garbage year. Sure, we can all agree on this. And I haven't really done a review of a No Man's Sky update since when Origins dropped about a year ago, or going on a year, I suppose. Check the cards up top to check out that review. Spoiler alert, it was a glowing one. Also, something I want to warn you all about, the footage that you're seeing here is from my PC, and please do not think this is indicative of the quality of the update simply because my PC is definitely showing its age. And then, of course, in the age of transistor shortages or capacitor shortages or whatever it is that's causing microchip tech and all of that to be super expensive. And, well, your boy just dropped his hunt for a new PC at the time until some of that can level out. I do have the PS5 version as well. I'm lucky enough to have gotten a PS5, but moving my PS5 down to my PC to capture right now is kind of a pain in the ass at the current. So any future footage I hope to get captured from the PS5 because it's actually pretty immaculate so far. But I want to talk about the new update called Prisms today. This is probably the third larger update. Well, I don't want to say larger, but more moderately sized update of the year, following the Companions update and, of course, the Expeditions update that has been sort of recently ongoing. Quick couple of thoughts on those. Companions was pretty cool, but, not really so much the update for me. And then, of course, Expeditions was kind of unique. I still don't know what to think about that game, or that game update rather, other than to say that it was kind of cool. I do have my criticisms of it. I don't know why it is that they would ask for you to restart old, just new saves over and over. Like, I get it. The sort of quick progression that you have throughout, and then allowing you to use those two saves to go back to the other primary saves to pull those items off of. It was really cool. The Normandy was a cool update, if not a little out of place. My criticisms of the Normandy update wasn't that they put the Normandy in the game, but rather the hype cycle leading up to it, and all the sort of hints that Sean was dropping. I know he is mega pleased with the Normandy from Mass Effect being in No Man's Sky, and I think it's really cool too. I think it's missed some opportunities, obviously. You can't go inside of it. It's a freighter and not or it's a frigate, not a freighter, which I think it could have been a freighter, because the size and the scale of the Normandy is I think bigger than that. So it was kind of a weird thing. So they just kind of threw it in there for fan service, which is fine. But I don't have a problem with the Normandy being in the game, even though it's kind of lore wise doesn't really make any sense. But now to Prisms. Prisms is not a huge update, obviously, and the reason for that is real simple. If you've been following No Man's Sky or covering No Man's Sky like I have for like 10 years now, you know that since launch, every year, pretty much almost in the same month, a new mega update will drop for the game that just drops a ton of stuff, right? We had Atlas Rises in the first year. We had Next drop shortly after, or a year after, rather. The Beyond update dropped, which was actually my least favorite mega update for many reasons. You could check my review here on the channel as well. And then, of course, a super good update last year was the Origins update. So we're probably on track for receiving another large anniversary update for No Man's Sky this year. Probably around, I would say, the July or August timeframe, which is right around when the game launched almost 5 years ago. Prisms is sort of the way to kind of move us into that direction, which is really good. I like that they've been dropping these little tiny updates, and this is something they started doing ever since Beyond, because Beyond had such a strange and really frustrating hype cycle. Beyond was announced like earlier in the year that year, And Hello Games made us wait, upwards of like 6 months until that update dropped, only for it to be a really bad update, honestly. No disrespect to VR users, that's primarily what the basis of Beyond was VR compatibility. I'm just not a VR guy, and the VR implementation destroyed the game technically for me for about 6 months, right? I was falling through the world and everything else. It was a mess. So Hello Games since then committed to dropping smaller updates like Companions or Expeditions or today's Prisms update, as they said that they wanted to sort of put out more content when they feel it's ready and when it makes sense, and then of course drop the larger updates towards the anniversary time frame. So what is exactly the Prisms update? And really it's just sort of a graphical overhaul, so to speak. And it's really, at this point, if you're a PC user or a next generation console user, well, this update is pretty much more for you, right? If you're a PS4 user or an Xbox One user, you do get some benefits, some things that are definitely good for you. Things like reflections and all of those other wonderful things probably aren't going to be as good for your older consoles as they are the new one. An example of a next-gen console or PC specific feature that comes along with this update would be screen space flexion. Space stations and the Anomaly got a pretty cool overhaul. The space stations look pretty good now, which they've honestly been deserving of a nice bit of attention since the launch of Beyond. And now they look really shiny, almost like wet metal in a way, because of the screen space reflections. They're pretty cool. I do enjoy this feature, and something to keep in mind about Prisms is there's not a whole lot of functionality here with this update, right? They didn't add anything to the game functionally, gameplay-wise. There's nothing here that is going to sort of change your perspective gameplay-wise on No Man's Sky, right? It's not Origins. It's not the Desolation update where they added, the derelict freighters. That was one of my favorite updates because they actually added some depth and functionality to the game. I thought that was great. Prisms doesn't do that. I'm not mad at that necessarily. It's a small update. There's not a ton happening with it. It just adds some really cool things to the game. It looks really cool. The reflections are great. One thing that I'm not seeing a ton of talk about is the stars, right? When you're in space, or even more so when you are planet side, the stars in the sky in the night are just crazy good now, right? There's more star than there is sort of empty space in the sky now. So when you're just sort of traversing planets and things like that, it's really it just kind of takes your breath away a little bit to see all those stars in the sky. Now, previously to this update, every star in the sky was literally a star that you could reach on the galaxy map. There was some weird technology that I could never understand that, however the galactic map is set up, it shows that accurately in the stars around, right? While you're sort of in space or viewing those stars from a planet. I don't know if the same is true now. I don't know if they just sort of got rid of that concept. I would invite folks like Ray Rod or whoever to test that and let us know sort of if that's changed. Something that was kind of in the game already but has been expanded upon is volumetric lighting. If I remember correctly, volumetric or a form of volumetric lighting was added to the game with the Desolation update. This helped to sort of sell the atmosphere of the derelict freighters that are just sort of floating around in space, giving it kind of a Dead Space vibe. But now, pretty much everywhere in the game, lights can have a way of interacting with things like fog and dust and things like that, giving a little bit more capacity to the light to sort of fill the environment even more than just casting light on objects. Makes caves really nice. It makes things in the night go really well as well, especially for things like dust mechanics and stuff. It's pretty neat. Something that I'm not sure anybody was asking for, but we're really happy that we got, was they sort of refreshed what it looks like to warp. Nobody asked for this that I know of. This would be about I think the second time they've changed this. Beforehand, it was just like this sort of psychedelic flashing towards your face. Then they added this sort of ship floating around, and now they've made it really. There's just a lot of colors, a lot of purples, a lot of greens, blues, and yellows. It was a nice little touch. I think is going to keep things fresh in the game moving forward. Something that was already revealed for you PC users, particularly of the NVIDIA card users, deep learning super sampling, or as they say, DLSS. This was announced a few weeks ago to help make your game run better at higher resolutions. It's doing a lot to fix your improvement or improve your performance, which, unfortunately, if you're somebody like me, that doesn't really ring true now because my PC is too old to take advantage of such a thing. There's a couple of other little useful doodads here. They did expand upon caves a little bit. It's not as deep as I'd like to see. I'm hoping that this gets some attention with the yearly anniversary update. Caves are definitely pretty now. Right? There is definitely a lot more lighting and a lot of cool stuff happening with sort of fluorescent or bioluminescence, rather, I should say, that kind of helps to light the caves a little bit better, which I think adds a little more drama to them. But I'd really like to see these expanded upon with some deeper gameplay. I'm hoping that will come along here eventually. And of course, some other visual touches to the game have been done, which I certainly approve of. Riding flying creatures and things like that. I've never been one to really take advantage of the new steeds in the game. I imagine there's other players that would. Not really for me. It's neither here nor there for me that they added that. I think it's pretty cool to watch. More so the flying creatures than the ones that are more land dwelling. Photo mode also got some improvements. I know my buddy Kyle Culver is probably excited about that since he really loves the photo mode implementation. So it's always good to get an expansion on that one. And something that hasn't really been touched since launch was the rain. They made rain actually. It used to be just this sort of, if you were paying attention, you couldn't unsee it. Is that rain just kind of was like a PNG image falling down in front of you of like a few rain stripes. Now it's a little bit better, right? They're a little more streamlined. They refract light, and they just generally look a little bit better. So I'm glad they finally addressed. So really, this update is more for quality of life, taking better advantage of some of the newer hardware that's out there. If you have been lucky enough to get your hands on it. I got super lucky in picking up a PS5. I know many of my followers have not been as fortunate to do so yet, so may the odds be ever in your favor. Especially for those of you hunting for the new graphics cards, that's got to be a thirsty hunt there. Not to mention the fact that they're so brutally expensive right now because of the shortages. And so if you're looking for Hello Games to keep things fresh and just keep refreshing the look and tweaking the game and how it runs, how well it looks, then obviously Prisms is for you. If you're waiting for something a little deeper gameplay-wise and feature-wise, this update is not it. But I could definitely tell you that, of course, with new expeditions coming, expeditions were pretty fun gameplay-wise, but the anniversary update, if consistency plays out like it has in the last 4 years, you can expect another anniversary update to fall at about the July or August timeframe. And your boy's still holding out hope for a Nintendo Switch drop. I know it's next to impossible, but it's Hello Games. They've done quite the impossible in 5 years of bringing No Man's Sky up to such a popular and positive discourse, versus what, we had 5 years ago at launch, right? And then lastly, I know I have a bit of a platform here on this channel, so I know that those of you are probably going to roll your eyes at this, but your boy just got vaccinated, just got my second shot yesterday, and I'm just doing my part and just saying, hey, I want to feel comfortable around you, and I would like for the rest of our country and the rest of our people to be safe, along with the rest of the world. I know I get some folks in the UK and Australia and Germany that watch here too, so welcome, and I know for places outside of the U.S., it might be a little more difficult to get a hold of a vaccine than it is here in the United States, but I'm still going to encourage you to get the shot. It might make you feel like crap for a day or two, but that's better than having a tube stuffed down your neck or losing you forever as a viewer, and I just don't want to have that happen. So do your part and get poked for me, and I'm glad you're all here. Glad to see there's a new update and more updates for No Man's Sky this year and more coming along the way. And good to see you. Thanks for stopping by the LZ. See you next time.
Say it. I mean, it's not quite.